Hello, friends. It's time for Talk Ford Dodge, the show that uncovers the stories behind the houses and the heart of our community. I'm Jeremiahjcondon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin. Today, we're going to talk about the Veterans Bridge Project. But first, let's do our quick market update.
Market update. We have 61 active residential listings here in the Fort Dodge area. I did a little comparison with last year to this year. And pending sales, we have 8 more than we did last year. We're tied with sales, and the median price is the shocker.
Yeah.
As of last year to this year, it's went up $25,000. Nice. Now, it's only a 3-month span, but
it's still it paints a picture of houses are going up in value. They're selling, which is a big deal. Last year with the interest rate so high, we kind of talked about the people buying houses were the ones that didn't know what an interest rate was or didn't care.
Correct.
And there's two ends of the spectrum. Now we're starting to get those middle class, those people that understand that interest rates are where they're at, and they're either getting used to them, and they're evening out a little bit, coming down a little bit. So that all helps.
Absolutely. And then we have the feature house of the week.
Yeah, this is a big one.
This is a big one. 1040 Forest Avenue, listed for $1,099,000.
Yep.
Right in the heart of Fort Dodge.
Yeah.
It's like the old part of Fort Dodge, but with a brand new home.
Finished 2024, built by Don Woodruff, Woodruff Construction. So Don normally does commercial construction. So you take that knowledge of commercial construction, put it into a home. It needs nothing. Just some examples of you were there with me, and the countertops in the kitchen have this feathery feel. They're almost different. Like leather, that instead of that polished look. Mm-hmm. Triple pane windows in the bedroom, because I was talking to Don. He goes, I hate it when I'm laying in bed and you get that cold window next to you. So he put triple pane windows in the bedroom. He finished under the garage, so the garage is raised, and you can actually finish underneath it. And I was telling him it'd be a perfect place for a pool or a hot tub and make it into a big party room. I think it'd be awesome.
There is more square footage under the house than on the main level.
Yep. And walk in, and if you don't want to go downstairs, that main level is all on one level. I mean, you can come from the garage straight into the house, straight into everything on that main level, and then go downstairs. And it's 2 different looks. Like upstairs is super modern. Downstairs is this industrial, kind of some of the exposed concrete, but it still looks super cool.
And you walk into the master suite, and the toilet talks to you.
It goes up every time you walk by.
I'm not sure that's a good thing, Jeremy.
I don't know.
He's like, oh, no, it's you again.
It's like, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. It's just, I'm going to go down. No, Jeremiah, go to the other bathroom.
Sensor's not working. Sensor error.
Danger.
Yeah.
That patio out back of that house is just amazing.
Oh, yeah. Looking over the Loomis Park.
Yeah.
Or Snell Crawford Park. Yeah. It's just, and there's not a lot of lawn, but your backyard is Snell Crawford Park. So it's almost like the city's doing your lawn mowing for you. When you go back there, it's just such a cool home. So if you do want to check it out, give me or Jeremiah a call. We'll take you through it. It's really, really neat. Now we're going to introduce our guest of the week. I met this person, a couple of years ago, and just kind of hit it off. Became friends. He's a veteran. He's a Navy vet. I'm an Army vet. So when I went to the Army-Navy game this year, I gave him lots of pictures of
I know. And they were all very polite and nice. The fact that Navy was getting whooped this year didn't help me any.
Oh, no. Next year it'll be different. We'll be there.
I'll be there too.
So this is Mike Larson. He's the president of First Interstate Bank and a Navy vet. And Mike, can you kind of tell us a little bit about your Navy background, and then how you became here to Fort Dodge and in your current capacity?
You bet. No, thanks for having me, by the way. This is fun. So this sounds like this when we're at the VFW, so it's a very similar conversation. Well, it might be a little different.
Just a couple things.
So your first question was, I was in the Navy about 6 years, really fortunate and blessed. I actually joined when I was 17 years old, part of the delayed entry program.
Oh, you're a DEP kid.
Yeah, so like 3 days after I turned 18, I went off to beautiful Orlando, Florida for boot camp. Wow. And everybody goes, why did you pick Florida? Yeah. And I'm like going, well, I'm from Iowa. I was born in Fort Dodge. Yep. And my grandparents were here and everything else. And I'm like, most kids go to Great Lakes for the Navy. you get to pick of 3 places at that time. And I'm like going, well, I'm from the Midwest.
I know what that's like.
Yeah, I joined the Navy to see the world. You know, I think that's a commercial for them. So, heck, I ended up down in Orlando and then went to school and got out to California and got a really lucky on my first duty station, and had a senior chief who said, you know, you got to go to school above and beyond this. And so he was a real great mentor, Senior Chief Meadows. Went to school, went around the world a little bit, stationed in Iceland, Virginia, Hawaii, places like that. Finished up school, got out, and my dad was an ag lender for 40 years, and we're in the town I was raised, Traer, Iowa, a town of about 1,500 people, south of Waterloo. Yep. And so I always was involved in that world and always liked it. And so I got into banking and had a great career all over the United States. I worked for Citigroup, U.S. Bank, big box, small box. And 3 years ago, I had a chance to come back to Fort Dodge, where I was born, and work for a great institution. And I really like community banking and the size we are and the things it affords us to do.
So. Right, and we've talked about this before. So First Interstate is a $50 billion bank. It's a big bank.
Well, we're $32 billion, okay. So still
big, yeah.
Still a good size.
That's a lot of billions.
It's a lot of zeros.
It's more than I got in my pocket with me.
But it's big, but it's yet small, because you're going to make a lot of the decisions at the local level that other banks of your size don't let local people do.
It's really neat because kind of our mantra is we want to out big the little banks and out little the big banks, you know. So at $32 billion, we have a lot of resources of things we can do: treasury management, loans, lending decisions. But you know, the Scott family who owns the bank, even though we're publicly traded, one family owns about 50% of the bank. So long story short is they believe in community banking. We have 300 offices in towns just like Fort Dodge. We're in Gladbrook, we're in Sully, we're in Nevada. You know, we're headquartered in Billings, Montana. So who would have thought a town of 100,000 people have a $32 billion national bank there headquartered? And they're committed to that. So it's just a really nice, and they believe giving back to the community. I mean, last year we gave back almost $9 million to the communities we serve, just in donations and everything else. So it's a great place.
It is. And I appreciate you guys. We bank there. I have several accounts there. We have a couple loans there and stuff that we really appreciate working with you guys. You do a great job.
Well, first of all, I love hearing that you came back to Fort Dodge. You know, 10 or 15 years ago, we'd be sitting there talking to people and be like, everybody wants out.
Right.
Wants out. And it's like, you want back in. I said, I was at a YP meeting one day, and they had a bunch of engineers come in, and they were all testing the waters here in Fort Dodge. It's like, oh my gosh, they're going to college, and they're coming back, and they want to work for Cargill and CJ and
they want to be close to
engineering and all these other places. It's like, oh my gosh, we're bringing people back.
There's a lot of opportunity here that wasn't here 10 years ago. People want to be in this community. They want to see it grow. They want to see it succeed, which is it's kind of a new thing.
Well, I tell you, you know, I could be a commercial for the chamber. When Denny Plotz, when I first moved back here, I talked to Denny, and he's like, why are you here? And we're talking, you know, he said it much more polite than I am.
Of course he did.
You know, and we're talking. I said, I'll be honest with you. When they called me and said, hey, we'd like you to, I was a community bank president in the Cedar Valley for 7 years with another community bank. And Great Western at the time, now First Interstate Bank, called me and said, would you be interested in coming over there? Because we know you're from Fort Dodge. And I said, no. And they said, how come? I said, because I'm from Fort Dodge. And I just don't have any interest in going back. And finally, Bart said, Mike, do me a favor. Just drive over there, spend a day or so. And he goes, I know you're not going to move your family if you don't want to be there. But he goes, I'm just telling you, it's changed. And I hadn't been back here since about 1982 when my grandmother lived here and then passed away. And she's buried on the north side of town, my grandma and grandpa. And so I came back and we looked around and I went, holy cow. I called my wife and I said, hey, because we lived in Minnesota for 15 years in a town of 25,000 people when our kids were in school and growing up. And we just loved it and loved the size of the community and the offerings it had, you know. And I said, you know what, honey, you need to come back over here. So we came over here, looked around, looked at the community, and ultimately moved here. So
awesome.
We love having you back.
Yeah.
Well, I want to start every show off now saying, why are you here?
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Why are you here?
Why are you here? That's what I got out of that whole story. I'm sorry.
I'm glad I could ramble for 30 minutes and you got that out of it. You know, the average person talks at 50 words a minute. I have gusto about 250, so we got this covered.
Listen fast.
Why are you here?
One of the things we didn't cover in opening today was interest rates, and we didn't do that because you kind of have the insight on interest rates, what's happening, kind of where they're at. I looked today; they're hovering around 6. Does that sound about right for you guys too?
Yeah, they're hanging out probably in the mid 6s. You know, depending on how long you go. You know, that 15 years probably mid 6. You know, VAs in the 6s. You know, you do a 5-1. If you go 30, it might be a little bit on the north side of that a little bit. But to your point, you know, one, we pay attention to rates every day because
they change every day. It never used to change every day.
I know it is. It's the topic of the day, but. I remember my first house, and I bought it at 8%. That would have been 1990, and I thought I got a smoking deal. Because I started lending money in 88, and at that time we were doing first mortgages at 12 and seconds at 15 and 17. And so when I got 8%, I was like, yes, I'm a star.
Yeah, you had better credit than me because 92, I was at 9.9 on a VA loan.
So no, rates are. You know, I think the rates are. Real, everybody's starting to adjust. You know, we went from a period where we had free money to, but there's a whole generation of people that never saw anything but free money.
Right.
And but at that 6% range, at 7%, people can afford a really nice home and make it work.
And we talked a little bit. So they were planning on lowering interest rates or adjusting 3 times this year, but they're running out of time to get it done. So where do you see it going over the next 12 to 18 months?
Well, if I knew that exactly, I wouldn't be here. I'd be,
well, that's why we had you on the show. This is for you to inside.
Yeah, I can't say it out loud because you'll hold it against me. But you're right. I think early in the year, a lot of institutions were all baking in about a three rate decrease, or maybe wishful thinking, and it hasn't happened. You know, so it's going to be tough to have 3. I think. As you're entering the second quarter here pretty quick, because normally they do it at quarter breaks, and it's an election year, so typically that the incumbent party wants to do whatever they can to spur the economy,
make everybody happy.
Yeah, yep. So I think we hopefully we'll see it, but how many we're going to see, who knows?
Well, Mike, let's talk about the Veterans Bridge.
Okay.
What would you like to tell us about it? What inspired this project, and what are some main goals and visions for the Veterans Bridge?
You know what? And do you guys all know where Veterans Bridge is? See, now
we do because our office is right next to
it. See, I moved back here 3 years ago, and I'm at an American Legion meeting. Tom Dorsey is running the meeting, and Tom's going, "Hey, I think we should renovate and put new enhancements on Veterans Bridge because it's now under construction, right? They're redoing that bridge." And I'm like, good, that sounds great. By the way, where's Veterans Bridge?
Where the heck is this thing? I've heard it now.
Yeah, everybody's going, have you heard of Habs Hump?
Habs Hump,
and I'm like going, okay, now I know where it's at. So good news, I now know where it's at. Bad news is we didn't know. So we said we should do some enhancements to it so people know it's Veterans Bridge. And that was Tom Dorsey led the charge in the meeting and said, hey, what do you guys think? And naturally, as a group, we're thinking that's a great idea because the military in Fort Dodge has such a strong presence and the history and, veterans from here. So we started to put together a meeting. The first thing we did is we called Mayor Bemrick. And I can't say highly enough things that he said. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. We're in, and then he helped line up a meeting with the city, David Fear, Chad Schaefer. They were phenomenal. Then we grabbed all the veterans organizations that we could think of in town. Yeah, I don't care if it's the VFW, the Disabled American Veterans, to Webster County with Dan, to the 133rd, to the women's organizations, auxiliary. And got them all, the Art Council, and got them all into a room and said, hey, what do you guys think about this? And what would you like to see? Because we wanted to celebrate and tie the military to the community. And so then we brainstormed a wish list. And then Shive Hattery, the architecture firm in Des Moines, who actually, if you've ever been to Des Moines, to the West Des Moines, their Veterans Parkway, is just incredible. And if you haven't, you should Google it and look at it.
We'll have to go down there and check it out.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. And they did the architecture work on that. And David and Chad actually did the research, and they said, well, good news. We have a great relationship with Shive Hattery. They're actually doing the, what do you call that? Down at the river, the nature center.
Oh, the nature center. Yeah.
And they've done a lot of work with the city, and the city felt really comfortable having them be our partner. So they helped us, and this started a year ago, and started doing renditions and looking at it and coming up with everybody's ideas. So now we're to the point now where I think we know where we're at, where we're going, how we're getting there. It's time to fund the thing. So
yeah, let's
that's
get
why
after
I'm here. Yep.
Okay.
It's an easy ask for money.
Yeah.
You talked about the veterans that were involved in it, the different organizations that you reached out to. How can normal residents, other veterans get involved that aren't already involved in it to do something with this?
You bet. Well, I tell you what, Spin Marketing, where we're sitting at today, has been a great partner. The Community Foundation, Randy Coleman and his group have been a great partner because they have the 501(c) already established. We didn't have to reinvent the wheel on the accounting and everything else. Spin Marketing has helped us design the web page, the letters where we reach out to people. And so people that's all going to go live, I think, by the end of this week. So
nice. Well, this comes out Thursday, so
yeah,
that's perfect.
So it'll be live. Mackenzie and that group, and I'd give you the Facebook page now or the web page now, but then if you try to do it, it's not going to be quite there. But she knows, and we can get that so you can include it on Thursday.
We'll put it in the notes.
I should have had that. Yeah, there. So, long story short is there's definitely donation levels for people to give to us. Anything from $1, we're happy with any dollar amount, all the way up. Then we have different levels: 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star, all tied into the military, as you can imagine. There's 13 light poles going across the bridge. So when it's all done, every light pole is going to either have a branch of the service on it or a folded flag on it. And then they're going to be lit up, and then a gateway comes where it announces it's named after Albert Habhab, because he was the mayor who put that bridge in, and there'll be gateways on both ends. Then on the east end there'll be a flagpole, a donor's wall, and ultimately some type of pavilion. And what's really cool is with the partnership of all the different veterans groups. We talked. It was really important to them that we followed military protocol, and it wasn't just something that looked pretty.
A couple people, worked up. And
and the city wanted that too, and everybody else. So as you go across the bridge, from the different branches will be in chronological order of inception. Right. Based on seniority, okay. So unfortunately we got to put the Army. And,
That's right.
And then Nagel Signs, who is the vendor who we're working with to do those, and they did a lot of work down on Veterans Parkway. They're making it so it doesn't matter if you go from east to west or west to east. They're going to be in the right order. They're going to be in the right order, and it'll look really neat, and hopefully. Really represent our people well.
So will it all be lit up as well? Like all of that lit up?
Yeah, ultimately, one of the phases, because naturally this thing costs about $1.5 million to put together. So, the first run, we're trying to get about $250,000. So we do the gateways, then we do the light poles going across and get that lit up for everybody. But yeah, it's either going to be inside backlit, or they're using reflective paint. And then if you look at the new poles as they redid the bridge, they're really nice. And the lighting, they're doing testing right now of how much would it just light up with the reflective type paint. And I'm not technology enough guy to know that, but David and Chad are.
So they get it.
That's why you got a team.
Do it.
They just said, trust me, it'll look good, Mike. So we're getting there.
Perfect.
Well, my question was going to be, how cool is everything? And you even used the word cool.
Yeah, it is.
So we're going to go right back over to Todd.
What have been the biggest challenges? I mean, I know when I worked with Dr. Binky on a couple projects out at Veterans Park, it was like finding the money. It's like, oh yeah, that's no big deal. The money's, but this is a much bigger thing than building a a wall out at Veterans Park. That's a much bigger ask. So the challenges, I'm assuming, where to go for the money, how to reach out to people. What other challenges have there been?
Well, you know what? I don't know if they're challenges. It's been a lot of fun. Is you learn. It's kind of like being a banker. One of the best parts about my job is I get to sit down with the guys in the real estate business, and then in an hour later I'm sitting with somebody in a local restaurant and bar, and they're telling me, and I'm sitting in a farmer's house and understanding their business. And same thing is I just learning the technology. What we can put, all the way from how much weight can you put on a per light pole, that
you don't think of that.
Yeah, you don't think of that. We had this beautiful idea. We're going to put an arch when you drive over the bridge, right? It'll light up. And then Tom Dorsey goes, well, what about those tall semi trucks?
Yeah. We're
like,
going to be 14.
Quit poking a hole in my idea,
This was a great idea. Make it work.
Needless to say, you just think all the things you think of. And then you find out, like, again, the military protocol. I spent about 6 years in the Navy, and I love the service and all the branches, even the Army guys. My oldest boy is currently a captain in the Army, and my younger boy was Air Force, so we represent them all. But, to know that, we need to do the chronological order, right, and to properly represent.
It's not just willy-nilly. There's got to be a protocol to this, so everybody gets represented.
I would have said, okay, this one looks really good. And being an old sailor, I would have had Navy first.
And green's ugly, it goes last.
Yeah, something would have been. I can't even see the Army one because it's camo, so it disappears. Where'd that one go?
I can't see it.
Hide that one in the bushes.
That's right. You'll never see it.
So really just making sure that we properly represent the military men and women of the community, and trying to make sure they all have a voice and that they're comfortable with how it's being done, because sometimes these projects don't do that.
Right.
And that's been really a big mission. So, I don't know if it's a challenge, but it's been a lot of fun and learning.
And that's a good point, the fear of leaving somebody out. So often you get into these projects and you're going through them and you're thinking about them and you think you're hitting every step, and all of a sudden you get a phone call from somebody like, oh, what about me?
Right.
And you're like, oh my gosh, it's not that I forgot about you. It's not that I wasn't thinking about you. It's just the scope of this project is so big that sometimes it's easy to leave little pieces behind in little parts. And maybe this is the place to say, I'm not leaving anybody behind. Call me if you feel that way.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. And we want to hear. And I would tell you the city has been just phenomenal. This has really been, I'm going to use Denny Plotz's name in vain again, because, he goes, it's a collaboration of private business, private individuals, city, and nonprofits. And everybody has come together and been so wonderful. But they really wanted to make sure that it was inclusive and properly represented all the people involved in the service here, current and veterans. So it's been good. Terry Mankey's been phenomenal. Has helped us. The guys
because
from
of his last project, he probably has a lot of insight on it.
He did, and and then you got the guys from the Honor Flight who, as you make a donation, one of the things in the military is there's a thing called challenge coins, and you'll exchange them with people that you think highly of or they think highly of you. Well, to properly tell everybody thank you as they make their donations, is they're going to get a commemorative challenge coin that the guys at the Honor Flight were nice enough to put us in contact with their contact, because when you go on the Honor Flight, they give you a challenge coin, and it's really, really neat. So a lot of nice touches. I'm hoping we properly represent the community, and I'll feel terrible if we left somebody out. And so now we're going to have one more meeting tomorrow at 2:00 at the Community Foundation to kind of button up where we're at, where we're going, how we're getting there, and kick off the fundraising strategy. So I'd welcome people to reach out and call me if they want to see what it's going to look like and how they can participate.
So I'm going to go a little off topic, but you had brought it up. The Honor Flight, that is a huge event that happens every year. I do not have a military background. My wife does not either, but she got the opportunity 2 years ago to go as a physician.
Yeah.
And she said she was just blown away.
Yeah.
Said it was the coolest thing she's maybe ever experienced, and like what it meant to everybody and all the little things, like everything was planned the whole day. And like she got goosebumps. It's like, it was just so cool just seeing the whole thing. And that's a really cool event that they have, twice a year in Fort Dodge?
They got one more coming up in May, and I think might do one more in the fall, but I think it might be winding down. So they've been doing it. It's a phenomenal day. It's a tiring day. I was lucky enough to go last year, and where I got to be a kind of a assistant for a veteran that needs some wheelchair help. And I tell you what,
slightly older than you,
just a little bit, thank goodness, But I tell you what, he had so much energy that you get to the airport at like 4:00 in the morning.
Yep.
And you get on, and a lot of great things going on. You get off the plane in Washington D.C. and you got kids lined up, and as you're coming down into the airport, singing national flags going everywhere. We'd go to all the national monuments that we went to, and I can't tell you how many times people came up and were just, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. I mean, it really humbled you that you're part of this.
Some of these guys are in their 90s.
The guy
and they get up at 4:00 in the morning and do this, and get back at 10:00 at night. And they say they talk all day. Nobody sleeps. Nobody does anything.
I wish we got home at 10:00. we didn't get home till like 11:30, 12 o'clock. Yeah. And I'm ready for a nap. And Don Zucker, he's the guy with me. He's 88, and he's still and I still get correspondence from him. I didn't know him. He's from Denison, a veteran from Denison that I was lucky enough to get to spend a day with, and he still sends me notes and letters and stays in touch. And you never get to do that without that experience.
Yeah.
And you knew what kind of impact you had in his life. The mail call they do is really touching.
Yeah, my stepdad went on it and talked about that mail call, and he wasn't ready to get the letters. Like my youngest son wrote him a letter. Thank you for what you did. And it was just kind of like, I didn't even know he knew I was in the Army.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They give you. I don't want to spoil it for people who are getting around on the flight, but they make it very touching, very sentimental, and the impact it does. And then when you get off the plane, the band's going, the fire department and police are here in Fort Dodge, and
well, they even spray water on the airplane, and that means something too, doesn't it? Like the washing of. I don't know. I don't know the meaning of everything.
It depends what time of year it is.
that might have been hot seat, just in case it was going to freeze.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, they do a great job, and Ron Newsom and Charlie Walker, and I'm going to say a lot of names today, and I know I'm going to leave people off, and then for that I feel terrible because they're just phenomenal people, and our community is so lucky that we have people that are willing to give their time like that.
And the people that you don't know their names, that just do it in the background, they just take care of stuff that you're like, oh yeah,
they don't want the notoriety.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
For the most part.
So timeline, website goes live on Friday.
We're hoping that we go live on Friday. We have a Facebook page on Friday. We'll be on Instagram, I believe. Cheryl's done a great job of getting some stuff. And as you know, the Rotary's been nice enough to invite me to come talk. Yep. We've actually had people who just heard about this going on, and I know the Community Foundation's already received thousands, checks in the thousands of dollars just because of word of mouth, and they're showing up. So it's
going to be amazing.
It's been awesome. So yeah, we need to raise it. We're hoping we have it done. Nagel Signs tells us that they believe they can have it done by Veterans Day. The first stage where we have the banners, we have the gateway, and then we have a flag and a donors recognition wall. We're hoping that's done by Veterans Day, which is in November. I think it's November 11th this year. So
11/11.
Yeah. So
Armistice Day. I always say that to my kids, so they know what that is now.
There you go.
The armistice after World War II was signed on 11/11 at 11/11. So that's why Veterans Day is on November 11th. Yeah. Okay. So now you won't forget. 11/11, make a wish.
So we talked about what this means to the community a little bit. What does it mean to you personally?
Well, the military is near and dear to my heart, and like I said, I serve my boys. Both my boys serve. Long list of family members on both sides that serve. So, it's kind of cool.
So it just sparks a little whatever you call it, little memory every time you cross the bridge.
Absolutely. Always look at that Navy sign. So one of the things that's really cool is if you are attached to a certain branch of the service, like I said, they're going to be Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, right? Is going to be included.
I forgot about Space Force.
I know. I did too. Somebody, Rich Lennon reminded me of that. So, I mean, everybody's been helpful about this stuff. And you can actually sponsor an individual light pole that is near and dear to your heart. And we know that we might get multiple Army people, and but on the donors wall, they'll be able to recognize that they were that was something near and dear to their heart.
That's
and
pretty cool.
And the family or who they want to do it in honor of, that kind of stuff. So I know, like when we do some things, I'd almost rather do it in honor of my Uncle Dwayne, who spent 35 years as a W-4 in the Marine Corps in Korea and everything else, versus my name. So I'd rather have it be in honor of Swede Larson, who
there you go,
or my uncle that served here with the Guard here in Fort Dodge. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Name. Swede.
Yeah. Larson. And we're not Swedish. Everybody's assumed with the last name Larson, he was Swedish. So when he got into the Marines, everybody just started calling him Swede. And I'm like, Uncle Dwayne, we're not Swedish. He goes, I know, but it worked.
We're going to take it.
I think I got called Iowa for 6 years, So, that was my nickname.
I don't think I can repeat any of my nicknames on this show.
It's so funny. So I'll digress, though, because, you're from Iowa, and you're proud of being from Iowa, and you're stationed around the world. And I'd be somewhere, I think I was in Barbers Point, Hawaii once, and the guy goes, hey, where are you from, Iowa? I said, well, yeah, Iowa. Yeah, that's why everybody's calling me Iowa. And he goes, do you know the Johnsons? Oh, my God. I'm like going, it is small. It's not quite that small and quite,
I know some Johnsons. It might not be the same one.
So, but it is a fraternity and family. And I can tell you what, when we moved back here, I started going to Legion meetings. We go to the VFW, and you hang out, and you can be anywhere in the country, and you have a home. You walk in there, and people just open their doors and said, hey, sit with us. Where are you from? What's your name? Here, let me introduce you to this and that. And so it wasn't even like we were gone for a mere 50 years.
Isn't that cool?
It is.
Just walk in the door and
yeah.
You're back. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You have your Cyclone shirt on, your Hawkeye shirt on, and it's like everybody just, oh yeah, we know you, and even though you don't know the same people, it's just a family.
The only ones we make fun of is like when Joyce Lennon wears her Packer one. Then we might make
she
fun
deserves
of that,
it. What message would you like to share, just as kind of a closing, wrapping up, with other people in the community that want to do something, want to get involved? And we talked about different the ways you can give money. Any last minute things or any things you'd like to wrap up with on advice for the community to make this happen?
Well, I tell you what, we're always looking for people to be part of it and participate. And like I said, we've learned so much. So by all means, reach out, volunteer, give us your time, your ideas. In talking with David and Chad at the city, they know their expertise is city, running a city. They know it's not necessarily veteran affairs, right? And Dan has helped. So they're actually looking at putting together a group within the community that anytime there's a recognition for the military or different parks and things, and people want to do enhancements. Because I'd like to think we did this bridge perfect and we got maintenance free. But probably 5 years from now, somebody's going to say, well, we should do this to the bridge, or we should
There's
do
some
that
light bulbs out. They're not getting changed fast enough.
And so we're probably putting together kind of a group that maybe can help work with the city.
Eliminate as much as possible moving forward.
And then when somebody says, "Hey, we want to put Navy first," I have to say, "No, you can't do that, because it's important to have, the chronological order of when they were established." And so that's kind of an advisory group to maybe work with the city and the other things. But we're always looking for people to help participate. And as you can tell, I have no shortage of opinions.
I will volunteer Todd to go up there and change the light bulbs with a ladder. I will supply the ladder, and I'll ask Caleb to bring the video camera.
That's good, though. I thought Caleb was the one who was going to do that all on his own.
All right. Well, we appreciate having you here today. It's been a lot of fun, and it's such an important project for the whole community. It's been there for years. I loved how you call it the hab bump or whatever.
Hab hump. You know? Yeah. I mean, that's what everybody said. They go, like, you don't know where Veterans Bridge? You know where hab? I do know where that's at. I didn't know it was Veterans Bridge. So,
well, how often do you cut off Fifth Avenue South just so you can go over the bridge so you don't have to wait for a train?
I know it.
They almost needed it on Fifth Avenue South too. So,
well, thank you guys for having me on here and let me talk about this, because this is a great forum for all your guests to come and talk about what's going on in the community, and it's and if you guys weren't doing this, we wouldn't have this opportunity. So thank you.
Well, we'll keep doing it.
You're welcome, and thank you. And we love Fort Dodge, and we want to continue to see these kind of projects happen.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Bye.
That's a wrap at today's episode of Talk Fort Dodge.
Stay connected with us on social media and join us next time as we continue exploring Fort Dodge's stories through the lens of two lifelong Dodgers. I'm Jeremiah Condon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin, and this is Talk Fort Dodge.